You hear a lot about manifesting. There's a lot of videos about it, a lot of talk about it, a lot of books about it. I remember years ago when I read The Secret, which is a book about manifesting. This is about the law of attraction. You know, and it's whatever you think or desire, you claim that and it comes to fruition. I got real interested in this a few years ago, about 3 years ago, and I did some research about manifesting. And they talked about the laws of the universe, and I began to realize, because of my spiritual background, that these laws were spiritual laws. And I began to study them, and I could back them up with scripture and begin to implement some of these spiritual laws more readily in my life. But over the last year, I've had a really tough year. And so I've really gotten into a prayer life, a stronger prayer life. And about 6 months ago, I just really did a shift. And I want to share what I did. And man, some of the benefits I've got from that. My channel here, if you're new here, I'm Rhonda. My channel here is about, helping others. And that's what I want to do with this, is to help you maybe up your game a little bit in getting what you want. It's hard when there's no evidence of what you're wanting, and yet you pray, you go to God, you supplement, you ask Him for it, and I changed that. And it's all because of a scripture verse that I've claimed for a long time. But there was something that became really real about this scripture in my life. And it says, "Therefore I say unto you, whatever things you desire when you pray, believe that you will receive them, and you shall have them." It's Mark 11:24. And, it's just the faith of a mustard seed. And yet I had prayed and asked, and the evidence wasn't there. So I changed that. So often when we're seeped in our problems, they seem unsurmountable and that they just go on forever. And during this time, I myself would get desperate. I'm human, and when, I'm struggling with maybe financial difficulties or difficulty with someone in my life that's struggling, then I get desperate and I'll start begging. Well, I changed that. I changed my begging into thinking, and I started thanking God like it already happened. Right off the bat in my prayers, I would pray and thank God in present tense like it had already happened, regardless of the evidence. I have a creator friend here on YouTube, your favorite auntie, Mrs. G, and she all the time is saying this quote, "Call those things that be not as though they were." And that's what I started doing. And things begin to shift. In here, in me, my attitude changed. My thinking changed. My identity began to change. And those are the key components in manifesting. But it's spiritual. So as I continued, I have had so many things come into fruition, evidence. I'm seeing those things, the benefits. And the only shift was I went from desperately begging God to make some changes into the changes happening almost miracle. Now there's a component in this. There's one spiritual key, and that's willingness. I have to guard what I say. The last video I talked about was the power of your words. So guard what I say. I try not to say, I don't want to, or I want this, or I want that. I'm willing. Thy will be done. Willingness is the key that unlocks the door. Something shifts, and it starts within. I go within, and it's gratitude. I begin to get grateful, even though I didn't see the evidence. And I have had some things happen that these things are coming true in my life. And it's a big shift. It's about manifesting. It's all spiritual. There's a whole spiritual realm. I love that I am not a human being in a spiritual world. I am a spiritual being in a human world. And that spiritual part of my life. And that's part of my channel. That's one of my pillars. Spiritual health. Also talk about mental health. And I'm going to start talking about physical health. Because I have some people asking me to do some stuff about how I stay in shape at my age. I am a senior. I'm 72 years old. And I have worked hard on my mental health and my physical health and my spiritual health. And I'm here to urge you to look at those things in your life and go within and to grow and change and live vibrantly, no matter what age you are. You know, God compels us to live a full, rich, and peaceful life. And I can say, as I sit here right here today, I have that. No matter what the outside world shows me, I have that inside. So, if you're interested in about the power of words, I'll post that video here. And subscribe if you like what I share. And remember, be you on purpose.